Welcome to Learn and Love Music. I'm Duane Hulbert. This week we're going to look at Rachmaninoff's fabulous Etude-Tableaux in D major. I'm going to give you 3 insights into what I know about this piece and what I imagine Rachmaninoff might have been thinking when he composed it. I want to encourage all of you to subscribe to our channel. We'd like to see you back again. So let's get started with Rachmaninoff's beautiful Etude-Tableaux in D major from Opus 39. Let's look into the background of when Rachmaninoff wrote this piece. The year was 1917. The Bolshevik Revolution was happening. And toward the end of that year, Rachmaninoff left Moscow forever. He never came back to Russia after this. So it was very troubling times for those people who were not part of the insurrection, part of the communists that were coming into the country at that time. Here's a little bit of background for me personally. In 1982, I was accepted as a contestant in the Tchaikovsky International Competition. I got a chance to play in the wonderful theater there. I stayed in Rossiya Hotel, which is right next to the big square in Moscow, next to St. Basil's Cathedral. And I really got a sense of the country. I actually prepared this Rachmaninoff Etude-Tableaux in D major. Every contestant had to play 6 different etudes, including a couple of Russian etudes, as well as Chopin and Liszt etudes. It was a very rigorous competition, but it was so rewarding for me not only to be a part of it, but to be able to take in the culture and the beauty of this city of Moscow and Russia. Insight number 1. I believe Rachmaninoff was thinking about bells when he composed this piece. The beginning is very dramatic, has that bell kind of sound, and also he wrote pieces. He even wrote a piece called The Bells, which is for full orchestra and for choir, and it's a great work. This was important to him. This was part of Rachmaninoff's life, the sound of bells. Let's listen to some of those bells. The beginning starts this way. I find sometimes when you listen to these bells, they sort of clash with each other. And that's exactly what we're hearing in this Rachmaninoff piece, this sort of cacophony of sound. It sort of sets the stage for the music that follows. Insight number 2, the sound of the marching soldiers coming into Moscow. That's what I sort of envision in this music. And the sound is repeated notes. Rachmaninoff writes this, it's not really a melody, but and you put that together with Rachmaninoff's harmony, you get this, there's sort of a bit of anger in this, in the rhythm. And that contrasts with the bells we heard earlier. And the marching soldiers come back at the end of the piece. But what Rachmaninoff does is he throws in those bells right at the end. Listen to that sort of contrast between the marching soldiers and what I think of as the bells. It's interesting how it ends, because one would think that the bells would end the piece, but the marching soldiers at the end was the last thing we heard. So I would imagine that there was a lot of anger in Rachmaninoff at this time when he had to leave his homeland, and he never came back to Russia after 1917. And number 3, the interlude in the center of the piece, which is very short, is a little bit of a retrospective on his life with his family and with his country. And it's quite a contrast between the loud clanging bells and the battling of the Russians, but it's a beautiful middle section. You'll listen for it. It's the only part of the piece that's written with the dynamic of piano. Here it is. And this is what I'm imagining what is Rachmaninoff's tribute to his homeland, Russia. So let's get started with a performance of Rachmaninoff's Etude-Tableaux in D major. Make sure you listen to those three things that I pointed out: the ringing bells, and also the marching soldiers, and finally the beautiful middle section, which has the warmth that Rachmaninoff had for his homeland of Russia. Thanks for watching. We'll see you next time on Learn and Love Music.